Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me again on the Lights Too Bright podcast. For those of you who have listened to more than one episode, please do like, share, and follow. I need to say that I'm not building up any numbers. Today's episode is another for me highlight of COVID. You know, one of those silver linings. Someone who I met through our mutual passion for imaging and taking images of clinical entities. When I met him, he was, I thought, man, how many more followers can you get on Instagram? And in the last 5 years, he has quadrupled the number of followers he has. And I'm hoping that his magnificence will able to quadruple my followers on on my podcast. Anyway, I would like to say hello and welcome to my good friend, Mr. Hamza Mussa. Hello, mate. You all right?
Okay, thank you for having me.
So I, dude. I mean, like, I mean, we're joking aside. We do banter and stuff, but you've done so well in that social media space, and I think it's just an interesting story because I think a lot of the new optometrists kind of, that maybe they look to aspire to that. And for me, it was interesting. So that for you to be able to share how you got into it, was, we'll get there, but your journey into it and what you're doing with it now and things like that. But let's start at the beginning. What do you do now? So what would you say is your main role now? Or is the Insta your main role now?
The Insta for me is always still, although it's grown so much, it's still very much a passion project. It's something I enjoy to do, and it comes off the back of my day to day. What I love, what I do now, I say I almost have a dual role. I'm full time in practice still, so I'm a lead optometrist for Specsavers in Banbury, and then on top of that, I also work as a consultant. So on various projects. One of my key ones at the minute, I would say, is working alongside Global Education Lead for Keela on a lot of workshops and stuff like that. But I've also consulted with myopia charities and I do quite a bit of work for Specsavers on the graduate recruitment, early careers, professional side as well.
Okay. Um, where did it all begin, Hamza? Where's home? I know you just said you're in Banbury now, but where did you grow up?
But I'm a northerner through and through. So I grew up in Preston, up in the northwest. That's home for me. I moved to Warwick after I got married. So I've been in Warwick now for coming up to 4 years. Yeah, my anniversary's next week. Can't forget that one. Would get me in trouble otherwise. But yeah, so we've been here for about 4 years now. So we picked here because, like I said, when I'm doing consultancy work, we're up and down the country. So while North is beautiful, it used to take forever to travel this side of the country. Okay, a lot of stuff we end up doing is in London, where this is so much easier to get to London from here. So it's really good. But yeah, that's where I'm from. As it started out, I did optometry at Aston University. So
Did you
20,
want to be an optometrist? Was that like your goal in life to be an optometrist?
the honest truth, no. I I think it's very hard for anyone to say definitely at 16. Okay, this is what I definitely want to do for the rest of my life. I
We've had a
knew,
couple. We've
yeah.
had a couple.
Oh no,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I knew I wanted to do something healthcare orientated because I wanted to do something patient facing. I don't say that's where my passion lies because I like to think at least I'm good with people, and that's what I did. But initially, when I was doing my A levels, I went for dentistry. Um, it's only through clearing because I missed my grades. So then my uncle said to me, "You're not taking a gap year because if you go work and get money, you're never going to go back into education." Okay. So I was like, okay. So he sat me down at my computer and goes, okay, here's clearing. Okay, this is what you can do. You got Bradford or Aston, which one are you going to? As a northerner, I was like, as much as Bradford's good for food, I don't want to go live there. So I was like, okay, Aston, I'll have to be. And that's how I ended up doing Optom. And I would say for most part of first year, like it was good. It was the sciencey stuff. It's stuff I felt like I was good at, but I hadn't really found my passion for it. I would say it only really clicked for me in final year when we were starting to see patients getting into clinics, getting quite hands on. That's when it was like, okay, this is something I can see myself enjoying.
I,
And
I
that,
I mean that's interesting. That is interesting because I interrupted you, but we've had a couple of people on the pod who really was. It's like because they'd always been eyes or they'd been to optometrists and like when they were younger, but a lot of people who I seem to talk to, or particularly who I seem to get on with, it was never really first option. They've made once they've got into it, they've found their calling within it. So you went to Aston, and then where did you do pre-reg?
So I went back up north to do my pre-reg. So I did my pre-reg in Kendal in the Lake District. A gorgeous part of the world. But as I refer to it to a lot of people, I say it's like working in Jurassic Park.
Okay, why is that?
Kendal has the highest average age of population in the whole of the UK.
Okay,
I will be lucky if I saw somebody sub 65 most of the time. Okay. Most of our patients go well over 75. I saw 5 people over 100 by the time I'd finished up in Kendal, which was nuts. And like you can imagine, like uni clinics. So the patients we're seeing are usually city centre patients. So 20s, 30s, maybe a couple of early presbyopes in their early 40s as well, but not that varied. Gone to the lakes. So my whole first clinical patients was all 75, 80, 85, 79, everything. I remember doing those eye tests, and that first day felt like the longest day of my life. I think one of them tests was patient comes in, AMD, glaucoma, everything, hands me like an A4 page of medication. I think I swear it took me about 2 hours to do this person's eye test. I think I got guilty. I made him a brew midway through just to like
yeah,
taking a bit long. But that's, although it was tough, and I say it was trial by fire, I learned so much in such a short space of time. Like those first few months were some of the steepest learning curves, but I honestly took it in my stride. Like that's why I was like, okay, you can take two things from this. You can be like, this is rough going, or you can build on it and learn from it. And I like to think I did the latter. But at the same time, this is what kind of inspired the Crazy Upton.
okay,
Because the Crazy Upton, when I started it, and again, a lot of people ask, what's the name? Why is it crazy? I was like, I picked a handle that was separate to my normal Instagram where I was just following ophthalmologists. There's people like Jordical Retina in the States and the eye doctor in London. And people just sharing cases, and it was that bite-sized information because after a clinic, or if I'm on the train home on my pre-reg, I was just scrolling through it and having a look kind of situation. And you pick up these little bite-sized pieces of information that it just builds and builds and builds to you like, oh, that clicks. I've seen that somewhere before kind of situation. And that was my whole pre-reg year. So thankfully I got through in about 12 months. So I started August 2016. July 2017, I finished my off skis and passed. But I stuck around in Kendal for the next however many years until COVID hit, pretty much, when I got married.
okay,
And from there, I worked my way up to lead optom and worked across multiple stores and even had a pre-reg of my own by the time I finished. But the crazy optom became a thing of, I'm someone who's very passionate about photography. I've loved cameras, I love stuff like that. And it was almost bringing two together. One of the first images I remember taking was we had a colleague that worked with us who had a white cataract in his eye. So one day, it was a slow day. I think it was around Christmas time. Nobody's coming in. You know how it gets in practice sometimes. We're like, okay, let's have a bit of fun. We're like, have a seat. Let's have a go and see. And we were just messing around here. And then from there, I was like, okay. And then the sheer amount of pathology I was encountering, I was like, okay, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that even me and myself, I'm seeing this for the first time. I'm learning so much from this. Even when I did my hospital placement, because fortunately back then we still had in-person hospital placements for pre-reg. So I was lucky enough to do 40, I think it was almost 6 weeks by the time I finished in a hospital. And like, unless you see a case in front of you, you can't learn from that, and other people can't learn from that as well. Whereas, like, if you're able to document this and share it wider, then other people can benefit from it. And that's honestly the starting point. Because it was a case of, if I'm seeing it for the first time, then a lot of people will do. Can I help other people by doing it? And that's ultimately where it came from. It was never meant to be, well, 40,000 people later, shall we
yeah,
say, on the road.
that's absolutely
Um,
amazing.
yeah, it's amazing. But the opportunities, the people I've met, like, we have a worldwide community, which is astounding, to be fair. Like, the people I've spoken to, like, I've traveled to places over the world and actually met people who follow me, which is nuts. Like, I went on a charity trip to Kenya. I met somebody in Nairobi who was a follower. I got messaged when I was in Pakistan, um, and it was a case of, yeah, we follow you. Do you want to come down? Kind of situation. And like, that was so humbling to me because I was just like, for me, I always see myself as just a run of the mill optom. I'm not some crazy like PhD as many letters after my name, everything. I'm just somebody who enjoys day to day practice with patients and enjoys helping other people. That's honestly the kind of
I think that's I think that's probably why we get on, because I'm similar. I mean, yeah, I have a few letters, but beyond that, I don't think I'm doing anything particularly amazing. I mean, I do some interesting stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm
dude.
fortunate enough to work with some pretty impressive colleagues, but that the stuff that we see day to day, I think it's nice to show other people that we're seeing that day to day, and it kind of give other people aspirational stuff. And there are other people, you like you said, seeing stuff day to day, but they don't know about it or they've not encountered it before. So to be able to share your experiences can help build their confidence. And you can go, look, it does come up. It's not just textbook stuff, and you don't need to be scared of it. And this is how we can manage it, and things like that. So
And it's like, while CPD is brilliant, I think in that big room environment, a lot of people are very apprehensive of looking silly. Social media is hired to help blur the lines a little bit and make it less stigmatized to asking those questions. Like a lot of people, like even I go to an event, I'll do an event, I'll do a workshop stuff. No one will ask anything when we're there. But I come back and I've got flooded DMs with questions, kind of situation. And I honestly don't mind it because I understand because it could be very, and I think that's what's been useful because like some of the stuff we're documenting is very run of the mill. Some stuff we see which is a bit cool and weird and wonderful, which is also really cool. But it's also showing people that me and you could have the same case of uveitis or a case of uveitis, but it presents 50 different ways depending on what you're seeing in front of you. And it's by learning from those multiple experience exposure. But it's almost like people can almost learn through our experience too. So that if they do encounter in practice, like actually they dealt with something similar. And I think that's all for the profession because, like, I think we're both the case of like we want optometrists to do more to help more kind of situation to work alongside hospitals because we know the landscape at the minute with optometry and ophthalmology is, especially at NHS level, is unstable at unsustainable at current levels. So we need to work to bridge that gap because obviously it needs to evolve as a profession. Because as technology changes, AI comes into play, we need to find our place in this world as well as it changes.
it's important for people just to see things. I think the learning is different. I think the next generation of optometrists learn in a different way. They do learn in a more bite-sized way, which I kind of like. To be honest, I like bite-sized information. I do think that we also have to just show people that it can be interesting. That something that's very particularly you could consider it mundane can be very interesting. I was talking to Sheena Tanner Smith, Tanner Shaw, and she was saying she started to really enjoy it when she looked at how she was helping people rather than just the refractive element of it, which I think a lot of people can get caught up in. And the idea of the podcast, and because we've been chatting on and off about podcasts for a while. The idea of this was to show, well, actually, look, there are ways you can inspire yourself and keep yourself interested and develop within the industry, the within the consulting room, outside of the consulting room. And so that's why I'm kind of at the moment just talking to my friends about what they've done. So I'm going to take a step back from crazy Optom because we know what a monster that is. And because you're the first person I've had who's pretty much been within Specsavers, as far as I'm concerned at the moment, you're a career Specsavers, right? So what was the like kind of that journey like? How did you go from a resident to taking on a pre-reg? Was that something that you were encouraged to do? Was that something that you had to go out and search for? Did you have to go, do you know what? I like teaching new grads. Or was that something that someone said to you, you know what, Hamza, we've seen you, we think you'd be good at it? Or was it a case of, welcome to being qualified, here's your pre-reg?
I think Specsavers is such a huge organization, and no two stores are alike. I will say that quite confidently because Even when I was looking for a new practice this side of the country, I looked at a few different places. But when I first worked there, I stuck around because I genuinely enjoyed my working and I had that clinical freedom. With any business, you need to understand this KPI stuff like that. But genuinely, I will say this hands down, there's um, no strings attached to this comment. It's like I've never had that pressure where I used to work. I was there 5, 6 years. It was never like conversion needs to be this. You need to be seeing this with patients. It was a case of do your best, help everyone that's coming through the door kind of situation. And I really enjoyed that because, like I said, I encountered it was a very heavy pathology, lots of mechs, that kind of situation. So that was stuff I enjoyed. I was very passionate about. As I just started to roll with the crazy optom, because bear in mind, in the early days, I was anonymous. No one really knew my face, my name, anything. Um, I got, shall I say, scouted. It's the best way to
Okay.
put it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was
Did you
at an
get
optom.
tapped up? Did he get tapped up?
I got a hand on the shoulder, which scared the living daylights out of me, if you want to put it that way. But I was at an optometry conference in the Northwest, and Paul Morris came up to me and said, Crazy Optom, we like what you're doing, but we want to help, we want to guide you and get you involved in more stuff. And from there, even as a newly qualified optometrist, I had opportunities which I think more people will wait, what, 5, 6, even 10 years in their career before they really get involved with it. And I got the opportunity to work alongside the pre-reg teams quite heavily, which is something I was so passionate about. So I was like, this is brilliant for me because I got to travel up and down the country. So all the way from Glasgow right down to Plymouth, just helping on courses, understanding it, helping produce material for it, and help shaping the structure of those courses and the stuff we've done. From there, it kind of branched. I got an opportunity to working the graduate side, so working along the early careers team. So right from year 7 to year 11s and visiting universities as well. Pre-COVID, I also had the opportunity to speak at PAC and do a few things at PAC as well, which is the Professional Advancement Conference for Specsavers. So I've done a few sessions there. So that was really cool because that was alongside my role within store. So I had a lot of opportunities afforded to me through that, which I would say even now is part of the reason I've stuck around because I have had a lot of support and help from them senior people who helped elevate me and help train me to where I am today. I would say, like I said, I'm somebody who was very confident in the test room, and even then, like public speaking and stuff. This was stuff that was completely new to me. Like I'm a joker, like you said, I like my banter, but put me in a room full of people and I'm still not the best to this day, but I've got used to it as time's gone on. But those opportunities early in my career and now working alongside the people that I do within Specsavers, like I've worked alongside people who genuinely have a passion for the profession and want to see clinical improvements and stuff like that. So that's part of the reason why I would say I'm a career Specsaver, as you would put it. And even now, like as a pre-reg, I would say Specsavers is a good place to do your pre-reg because of the sheer amount of exposure and patients you have access to. Like even my current practice, which is much bigger than my old one, I've had 2 to 3 pre-regs over the last 4 years at a time. And I like that because for me, that's where my passion lies. And although I'm helping people on the wider scale of things on courses, those are my pre-regs in my practice kind of situation. And I like to say multiple on because you and I both know how taxing that 12, 15 months can be. And it is emotionally, physically, and mentally draining. So being able to lean on each other in those times when you are, I think was really good because that's what felt so isolating for me. I went to a practice which didn't really take on pre-regs and I was by myself somewhere quite rural and quite remote. So there was no other pre-regs around anywhere near where I was. And for me, that's what was the daunting bit of it. Like that's what really got me down, especially come stage 2 time where we're like a good 9 months in. I was like, is this something I really want to do for the rest of my life? Like you do, I think everyone hits that point where they're like, okay, but then you go on and like you look back on it and understand that okay, you went through all that because no way was I the clinician when I finished uni compared to where I was when I finished my pre-reg. But for me, I was on the I like giving back and almost that paying forward mentality. Like someone had enough trust to let me be their pre-reg, so why should I not afford the opportunity to somebody else down the road? So.
And that's fantastic. And that giving forward, giving back is huge. And I think it's a great part of our profession in that a lot of our peers and colleagues are actually quite good at it. Optometrists in general, for the most part, are pretty friendly. So if you ask someone a question, unless you ask us to do your homework. Um, you know, we will help where we can, which is good. Part of the reason I have got career Specsavers person on, particularly someone who's a friend, because I knew you'd be honest about it. But also, you know as well as I do, and I've been guilty of this as well, of stereotyping certain forms of practice within the industry. That with places like Specsavers, like you've said, no two practices are the same, and you can have a totally different experience 2 streets away from each other, or two postcodes away from each other. And it was just one of those things where I just wanted to show that, you get a lot of independence, the best type of practice, but not necessarily. You can be in any form of multiple, right? And have a fantastic, diverse career that lets you grow and develop. And so this is why you're on, mate, to share this story. The Instagram stuff is just an aside, right? And like you said, it was your passion. You weren't going out to be an influencer. You know,
Oh, it's
you
been
were
just like,
you were
I hate the term. I can't stand the term. Like anyone someone says it, like it will cringe me to kingdom come. Like I would rather not. Um, but yeah, like you said, your career is what you make of it, and I think you also empowered yourself to know where you want to work. If that makes sense. Like when I moved down this way, I knew what kind of clinic I enjoyed being in. Like I stuck with Specsavers because I was still doing a lot of the work on the side, so I wanted to still be in the Specsavers practice, but like I said, I interviewed at a few different locations before deciding on where I am today. And the key thing is everyone suits a different environment. Some of you may suit that 1, 2 test room store where it's a bit quieter. I how would I like to refer to it? It's organized chaos, shall I say? Like we're a very big store, so we're 6, 7 clinics, but heavy max volume, which is the stuff I enjoyed. Like I might be lucky sometimes if I'm seeing too many routine patients. Most time it is emergencies which are sent our way. But that's what I thrive on. I love that stuff, that problem solving, that critical thinking that really gets my brain going. They're the ones that like I rise to a challenge. I really enjoy it. But again, the practice I'm in has that opportunity there where if I went up the road where there's no max contract, then they wouldn't really be seeing much of that. And it may be a slightly busier clinic. It might be slightly more pressure on the optom. And that's how it works. But you need to pick what's right for you as an individual because, like I said, you have the power to change it. If you're in a situation where you are feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling pressured, look at other opportunities around there. They are there.
I'm glad you said that, because that means I didn't have to say it. But I think a lot of optometrists, particularly the younger ones, feel like, oh, I'm committed to this now. I can't step away for whatever reason. I've got student debt. Uh, I know I've got a mortgage, whatever. But in our industry, it's very easy to go, I don't like this for whatever reason. You don't like your routine day. You don't like the people. You know, there's nothing to be ashamed of in going, I don't like the people I work with. And that can be for whatever reason. They might not like you. Who knows, right? But you've got to go, I am going to step away from this to better myself, for my own well-being. And you can step away from it, and for the most part you'll be okay. You will get another job, and it'll either be better or worse,
Well, that's the thing.
because
A lot of optoms, particularly earlier on in their careers, have never known working anywhere else. So it's that fear of the unknown that comes into a lot of play with people to making that jump. Like my other half was one of these people. And I was like, look, you need to get out. Okay? Leave. You will be better off for it. You will find something better along the road. And mind you, this was COVID, yeah? So I got it in the neck when this happened because I was like, okay. But, like I said, touch wood, a few years down the road, she's happy as could be and so grateful to be out of where she was at previously. But like I said, it's just taking that initial push to just, and sometimes you need somebody else to just give you that kind of nudge a little bit. Because like I said, we often get too comfortable being somewhere that we just end up with blinders on, that we don't actually see how bad it is. We just like, we'll almost sugarcoat it for ourselves. Like, it's okay. It was just a rough day. There'll be better days kind of situation. Sometimes you do just need that nudge.
And that's part of the reason for this pod was really just to give those people who don't necessarily have someone to give them a nudge, for them to listen and to listen to like your great story, other people's great stories, and go, you know what, they did it, and they took a chance or they took a risk, um, and I actually, I didn't even think that maybe I could do that. Do you know what I mean? And you try it and you reach out and you start looking at job adverts, or you go, maybe I'll do some further education, maybe I'll step away. And so and that was really the aim of this, was just to give people that option to go, look, this is what people are doing. Some people love the consulting room, some people don't like the profession, or find out that the profession is not for them, and they've gone, actually, I'd rather do that. and and,
Nothing
and
wrong
that's
with
where
that.
they've
And I
gone,
think that's
and
what
there's
people
nothing
need to
wrong with
realize.
that. Exactly.
Look, whatever you're doing, like you need to enjoy that. Okay. Like Optum wasn't my first choice, but I made it right for me. I found my place, I found my niche, and I found what I really enjoy. And like I couldn't be happier now. Okay. But similarly, I know people that have walked away and actually are better off for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, but if you're stuck in something that you are miserable in for the next 20, 30 years, that's not somewhere you want to be, no matter how hard you work to get the initial bit. Because, yeah, it's scary to walk away from something, but you don't know what opportunities are around the corner.
Yep. Very true. I'm going to move on from that because I think we've got the message across, or at least the message I was trying to kind of force you into the corner of saying. Um, with regards to crazy optom, and I know you don't like the influencer term, but I just want to talk about it just because I just want to put some realism into what people may think, that, oh, Hamza has this many followers, therefore, has it given you the opportunity to totally retire from the consulting room?
Oh boy, do I wish. No, like I said, it is a passion project and not something that is easy to monetize. Like I said, there's so many collaborations with eye drop manufacturers that you can do before I fill up the fridge with Haikazan at this point. But no, no jokes aside, like I said, it's given me opportunities to explore the teaching avenues I wanted to. Because, like I said, it wasn't necessarily like I'm rolling in cash from the Instagram side of things. No, but it got me recognized, and especially at the level we're at now, I was popular amongst the student crowd and the newly qualified crowd. But in recent years, because of how much it's grown, it's now been recognized amongst the more senior optoms and even on an international footing. And that's been useful because I've been able to offer something. So one thing I did last year, which I was really proud of, is my slit lamp course. Now, the slit lamp course wasn't anything wild or crazy or really technical, but what it was is stripping stuff back to basics and teaching people the way I wish I was taught. Not focusing on angles, not focusing on so many settings, but actually just focusing on getting a feel for your slit lamp and understanding how to use the machinery in front of you. Okay, and doing it like that. That was something that I don't think I would have had the opportunity to do without the Instagram. But I think that just means that people were able to see my passion and understand that this is something that he'd be a good person to deliver that. So yeah, but yeah, if anybody wants to give me a fat proposal so I can retire, I will happily take it.
Consider it. You'll consider it. You'll
I'll
consider it.
consider it, should I say? Not take it.
Yeah.
Um,
I For those. So it's interesting because that was your route into stepping out of the consulting room. My route was slightly different. I was kind of pulled into it by Brian, who obviously does a lot of lecturing and stuff. So then he kind of introduced me to lecturing. And then again, my interest has always been onc disease primarily. That was always my number one passion. And then I just did little things. I'd write I'd write a case report, and then you just reach out and these magazines always need content. So you reach out to the clinical editor and you go, I've got a great case. Do you want to publish it? So for me, first it was Bill. I can't remember Bill's last name. Phil Harvey, um, who was at the time clinical editor for Optician. I went, look, Bill, I've got this great case, you know, and I think it would be a great case record. And he went, okay, just send it my way. Let's have a look. So you send him a case. He goes, yeah, this is great. Write it up. He helps you do it, kind of thing. And all of a sudden, I'm published. And you're like, okay, well, that was easy. Then you do another one. And then other people see it and they go, oh, this kid's published. Or maybe he knows what he's talking about. You don't necessarily need to know what you're talking about, but maybe this kid knows what he's talking about. And then people will ask you to maybe do a talk. Then you do a webinar. So I mean, I owe a lot to Brian. He got me very much into the lecture scene.
Yeah. If we want to talk about rock stars of optics, I think Brian is the OG, to be fair.
Yeah, he's like the Rolling Stone. He's like one of those Rolling Stones kind of thing. So I'm always curious. Obviously, like I said, we know each other through the Instagram, and I always find it amazing how well you've done in terms of gaining content from that. And I'm glad that you've found other ways to share your technical abilities with Keeler and Bog and stuff like that, because they are good people. And I mean, we're doing some work together as well, which is only going to be beneficial for me, which is just amazing. Right, dude. That's it. I like, I said we'll crack 30 minutes and you won't even know we've hit 30 minutes. So we've hit 32 minutes. And I think I have a better understanding of your journey to where you are, which is great, because you know what, as friends, sometimes you don't know it. You kind of sit in there and you sort of know stuff, and then you go, oh, actually, that's quite interesting. I didn't realize that. But we hit 33 minutes, and I'm going to pull this to a close. But before I go, I like to ask all my guests, if you had one piece of advice that you could give any, for new grads, right? Because that's really your passion project, I would say. If you had any piece of advice you would give a new grad or pre-reg, right? What would that be? Because I mean, they always want advice.
It's the same thing. I do tell them now. It's like qualifying is honestly just the beginning. Okay, it's not the end of your career journey. It is just the opening. That's just opening the door to all the opportunities there. And don't be afraid to chase those opportunities. So find something you enjoy within the profession, and there is so many avenues to explore. You just got to look for the opportunities there. Okay, don't think your life stops at 1, 2 in the test stream. That's literally just where we started out at. But you can enjoy so many things. Yeah, look for those opportunities and find what you're going to enjoy. So then you don't mind sitting with the profession for the next 25, 30 years. And hopefully we get to meet you one day at one of our events. Because, like I said, me and Kaya, it was years before we met face to face. Okay, but through this community, it's how we grew. We met each other, and now we have an international community of like minds. Definitely. So don't be afraid. Key message.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, sir. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And we will do some other stuff. I think let's do some student-y stuff that we were talking about before and never got around to because life just got in the way. But I think your passion for helping pre-regs and students, and my passion for trying to create a social media empire, maybe we can put that together. I know Stuart wants to do something as well as part of the Patreon. So thank you very much. I'm going to end this here. So thanks everyone, and hopefully you will see us soon. Take care.